What's up, Cal fans? We are back with another episode of the California Golden Bearcast, a proud partner of the Blue Wire Podcast Network. I am one of your co-hosts, Andy. Alongside me is Rob, as always. Cal Bears are 2-0. Rob, how you feeling?
So yeah, it's good to be back.
I was going to say this whole thing about how it's nice to talk to you again, except for the fact that I didn't talk to you again, except for the fact that I did spend 4 hours last week talking to you on the Golden Bearcast, except for the fact that no one could listen to the Golden Bearcast.
Only the golden tweets from last week went out, and I put that just on Twitter. So
we didn't even put it out on the official.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't up to quality. I didn't want someone to turn it on and their ears just get waxed with static.
And the nice thing for me, because I feel like all the technical issues are normally my fault, this one wasn't me.
Yeah,
it wasn't me.
This one was purely me. And we were talking through it the entire night. Like, I had no idea what was going wrong. Like, absolutely, I had just no idea.
I do want to just bring the listeners behind the scenes here for a second. First of all, we understood how important it was to get a podcast out for you all for that game, considering the hype and reaction to Jaren. So we were like talking about doing it the immediately after, like on Sunday night, and then we opted for Monday. We did Monday, my first week on a new job, right? And then so my first day, then it doesn't record the first time. Then the second time we go, and at this point, we decide that we are going to have Rob, because Rob's going in and out, and I can't hear anything he's saying. So for Golden Tweets, Rob decides to call me. My phone dies, so he is now on my Apple Watch. I am listening to him ask me a question on my Apple Watch. I am responding on the recording, and then Rob is coming off mute on his end to ask the question, which I'm, again, listening to my Apple Watch. My Apple Watch dies. And then Rob magically comes back, and I hear him for the last question, and I say, "Go Bears," and we think we get it. And then the next morning, I get a text that says, "Nope, still broken, full of static." So anyways, I promise we tried. It was a solid 4-hour effort of like recording. We did talk about potentially doing one on Friday, and we just decided it's too late, and we'll give you all a break from listening to my voice, never from Rob's voice, but. We are very sorry. It was a journey. It was a journey. And you know what?
It was like a 4-day journey.
It was a 4-day journey. And if I'm going to bright side this, the nice thing is for everyone that was like, I don't even have to say names. For all of the golden tweets that were like, we're going to go 16-0, and we're going to run the table, and Jaren's going to win the Heisman. Well, at least, after the second week, not saying that we have to reduce those down entirely, but, maybe we're in a little bit more of a realistic frame set, or mindset, so to speak. Or maybe that's just me feeling better about the fact that I don't have to make massive adjustments to my win-loss column until proven otherwise.
Yeah. I think we might have overreacted after Oregon State, but I also there's a conversation we're gonna have that I'm gonna bring up later. But we might have, I think, after the Texas Southern game, like the immediate after, I'd say like the 24 hours, we might have also overreacted to that game as well. So. That I want to have that conversation, but yeah, that's kind of where we're at. I guess, Andy, the one thing that we kind of can carry over from last week into this week is just to give our listeners a little bit of a peek into what we talked about last week that no one else listens to except for you and me. What, if anything, immediately after Oregon State, did your projections on the season change?
Yeah, I love this because we're locked in, right? We got 4 hours of pod recordings going last week.
Yeah.
So yes, I did actually make an adjustment that nobody heard, which was I walked back the big game comment that I made in the preseason prediction pod. And then And then the funny thing was we recorded before the UNC game, and then we recorded again after the UNC game. And then I was like, well, I think I might have to potentially consider walking back the UNC game given how bad they've looked. And now after them looking terrible again, I am like, damn, even even if Cal is like the 60th best team in the country, they could go 9-3. Like it's very realistic. I don't see it. But it's not like we have to accomplish greatness. And I think it's like 60th in regards to like S&P plus is what I mean.
Yeah.
I could see that. Duke loses. UNC looks terrible. So like that's where I was like the beginning of the tough go was coming for me was the Duke game. I know some other people like put that to Boston College. But if Duke is mediocre, if UNC is bad, maybe we're calling Duke a toss-up, UNC a win, UVA a win, Louisville a loss, Stanford a win, SMU a loss. I don't know. I think 9-3 is right there, and that's insane.
Well, SMU lost too, right? So like, it's I still would say it's an SMU win, but it's not as surefire as I would have expected it to be 2 weeks ago.
Wow. I checked that game and was like, this is over. What happened? Wow. That's crazy. I didn't realize SMU had lost.
Yeah. So I think you and I are at least in the agreement that we might not think it's highly probable we get to like a 9-3 season and, my insanity of a 10-2 season, but I think we both can agree that there is a small path there.
Not even small. Not even small. I don't think it's small at all. It's literally like, no.
This is a drastic change from our conversation last week.
Well, everyone looks bad. The ACC is like the biggest. You sent me a text. You're like UCLA might not win a game.
Well, after this week, yeah, if they lose to UNLV this week, I don't think they can win a game. Just so the listeners know, like I sent them the schedule and it's like they play New Mexico. They lost to UNLV. They play New Mexico on Friday, and if they lose that, then their following games are at Northwestern, at home to Penn State, at Michigan State, at home to Maryland, at Indiana, at home to Nebraska, at Ohio State, at home against Washington, and then the rivalry game against SC.
Yeah.
Team.
Remember when we wanted that? Remember that?
Yeah.
We're like, we want that. We want to be in that.
Yeah. Dude, every single team that UCLA plays after New Mexico is currently 2-0, and UCLA is currently 0-2.
Wow. Yeah, we lived that life for like 10 years, like the strength of schedule being like top 10, and oh man, I don't miss that at all. Maybe we should. Like obviously if stuff really turns a weird direction with the ACC going forward, but it would also be like the world's best joke if the ACC got a bunch of good television coverage. Cal went like 9-3 and resurrected the program because our schedule wasn't as hard as it used to be. And that would be amazing. So yes, I think there's probably like a 30% chance that Cal goes 9-3. I like it's drastically more than I would have given it at the beginning of the season based on how it's played out.
That's drastically more than what you gave it literally 5 days ago.
Yeah. I've watched two of my losses. I've watched three of my losses one of which turned into like a win, and the other two, which I'm like, UNC has turned into a win, and now Duke. So that puts you at 8-4 for my 6-6, and then I look at Duke and I'm like, that might be a win too. Now all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I think I see it. You know what I mean? Like it's still 30%, so it's not that likely, but it's so much easier for me to get there based on how bad the schedule looks now. Which I guess as I'm saying that out loud, I should be more concerned about that steak dinner, but
we'll worry about that when the time comes.
We shall be delighted if we are 10-2, so that's okay. It's okay. So, anyways, that was last week. Super fun. Yeah, the Jaren hype is real. Think he's super legit. Don't think he's necessarily, going to win the Heisman. But who knows? Who knows?
Every Heisman has an off week.
Oh my
right?
gosh! Not even going there. Not even going there. Okay, all right.
We're joking. But yeah, let's continue our conversation.
Yeah, I want to hear about Texas Southern. I was at an album release party from a good friend who went to Cal in San Diego. It was great. Diego San is his name on Spotify. Please give him a listen or a follow, or just add the song Never Let You Go to a playlist. It would mean a lot. But Rob, tell me about the vibes for the home opener.
It was super cool. I mean, we were at a tailgate in Oski Town on the Glade. Perfect day for football, like, sunshine. It's, people out and about. Everyone's kind of excited. I think the energy was definitely a lot more palpable because of how Jaren played in that Oregon State game. So coming off of that and everyone coming home, it was a lot more. You could sense there wasn't much of a here we go again type of thing, and more of a what could we possibly do, and you definitely felt that. And the people in the stands, the student section being full, even Oski Town filling out as the day progressed, and people coming around and families out with I think you'd have a great time with the kid out in Oski Town too. There's jumpy houses for the kids and a bunch of other things to do, and so I think it's a great move of what the university did with Oski Town and the new tailgating scene they kind of want to build out there. I think it's absolutely great. It's super fun, and it's in a central location. And so with that, Ron came by, said, talked to all the folks. I got to chat with Ron a little bit. One really cool moment was I was talking to Ron and his wife Stephanie, and then these group of kids came up, and they weren't sure if it was Ron Rivera. And one of the kids was like, "Is that Ron Rivera?" And Stephanie goes, "Yes, that's Ron Rivera." And then this little kid comes up and asks Ron for a picture, and he's like, "Sure," and he poses with him, but the little kid's kind of staring at Ron's ring, and Ron just goes, he puts out his hand. He's like, "You want to wear it?" And he takes it off his hand and he puts it on the kid's hand, and he takes a picture with a Super Bowl ring. And I was like, that's pretty cool. That's just one of those things of being a professional athlete who's been at the highest levels, that's an aura thing that only you can do. The average person like Andy, you and me, we can't do that. So just an absolutely cool moment. But yeah, he came by, and we had Gary Tyrell come by our tailgate. I think after I left early because I had to go up to the stadium, to get ready for the first shoot of the game or shoot of the season. But apparently Kevin Kennedy came by and said hello to some of the folks as well. So yeah, we had some Cal celebrities coming by, and it was absolutely great. The Black Hole, the Raiders fan group, they were supposed to have a tailgate next to us, but I don't think they got it ready in time. So it was just a few of them came, and they handed out those T-shirts that you saw on Instagram and Twitter, that black T-shirt with the white bear, printed on it. And so they just gave those out to a bunch of kids and anyone who asked. And so that was kind of the day leading up to it, and then and then kickoff.
Damn, love that. Sounds pretty ideal. So, can you walk me through Oski Town again? Is this something that they're running back for Minnesota?
So this is something that's happening all season long. So remember what they used to do on Maxwell, that tailgate town area thing with the food trucks and the picnic tables and all that stuff.
Yes.
They basically just think of that being brought down to the Glade. Okay. And so there's a platform. There was a live band playing music. Picnic tables, little bar tables out, so people I think there was one food truck last week, but I'm sure they'll be adding more because you can't really tell food trucks to come when you don't know how many people are about to show up, right? So yeah, I think they'll add more. There's a couple of vendors, selling beer and alcohol and other drinks, and so it's like there's like little stations for kids to get stickers and face painting and all that stuff. So yeah, it's just one of those. They're trying to make it into like what we saw when we went to Notre Dame or any of these bigger quote unquote football towns like the Grove and this big area where you kind of get to see like a horizontal slice of the fan base and community. Just kind of getting ready to go watch their team play. So yeah, it's gonna be there all season long, and so we'll see how it develops and what they add to it and what they change and so on. But I'd say the first iteration of it, I think, is great. And I talked to Stephanie and Ron about it, and they came by early. They came by. I think we set up our tailgate at like 11. And then they came by at around 11:30. I parked the car because we dropped off all our stuff, and I parked the car, and I was walking back all the way from the media lot. And I see Ron and Stephanie like walking out, and of course, I stopped to talk to them, and Ron's giving me crap because he's like, "You're late," and I was like, "I had to park the car." And he's like, "Well, I guess we park closer, so we can make it." And I was like, "Yes, you definitely get nicer parking than I do."
Slightly
better parking than we do. But they were like, yeah, this is kind of like a test area, and they kind of want to build this out a little bit, and hopefully, with the football team being good, they want to make this more of a growing thing into a cultural thing. So we'll see how it pans out this year, and then if it's good enough, what it looks like heading into next year as well. But for now, I think it's a great success.
Well, I love that. I mean, I love how much he is committed to making this community thing work, and him and Stephanie. I mean, like, it's amazing. So I'm so excited to have Eva experience that. It'll be a while because I believe from here on out, every home game, except I don't know when Duke is, but
Duke hasn't been announced. That'll probably be announced next week or the week after. So
otherwise, it's looking like 7:30.
Yeah.
And it's going to be tough for kiddos' bedtime. But nonetheless, I want to talk about Texas Southern. Well, Rob, what were your takeaways from this?
From the game?
Yeah.
Well, I think the first like or about the game but not about the game is the marching band that Texas Southern brought is absolutely outstanding. One of the best bands I have ever listened to live. In terms of their music, their coordination, even their, I don't know what they call the person that does like the emceeing, like when the band plays, the announcer. I don't think it's an announcer. It's probably a drum major or something of that sort. But super funny, very very good. The timings were perfect. Only to find out that band, the Ocean of Soul, is the name of their band, which of course is an amazing name for a school band. They're the band that actually played with Beyonce, if you remember.
Nope.
And yeah, I did not know that until I was on the field and someone told me that, and I was like, oh, okay, well that makes a lot of sense.
Played with Beyonce where?
Well, I believe it was the Super Bowl.
The one that I was at?
Yeah.
Well, I remember that.
Yeah. So it was that band.
Whoops. I gotta be honest. I wasn't focused at all on Beyonce. I was very focused on how the Niners were going to come back from a very big deficit. And then the lights went off. So that's what I remember. Man.
So it was super cool that after I heard that. And they played at halftime. And then they also had like a Battle of the Bands thing on the field after the game, too. And I know a lot of people stuck behind for that. So
was it the Battle of the Bands like Cal Band versus Texas Southern?
Yeah.
Okay.
Super cool. I hope someone recorded it and put it online, or like at least because I know like the band records their performances and put them online. I hope they do that with this because it was really fun.
Grambling State or Texas Southern in your mind, which is better?
Texas Southern.
Wow, no hesitation.
Yeah, I mean maybe it's recency bias because I just haven't heard Grambling State's band in 10 years now. But yeah, they were really really good, and they were having a fun time. So I enjoyed it. That's the off the field, like, about the game. But we'll go back to the game. Um,
So
This is
wait, hold on.
okay. Where are we going?
The time and tradition of the non-conference FCS opponent, not like there's an in-conference one, but is for you to receive some form of communication from myself, but I was out for this one, or somebody else that essentially says, what the hell is going on? Right?
Yes.
Idaho, I definitely was like, what is going on?
I mean, even Davis last year.
Davis, every year, it's a time-honored tradition. So, Rob,
Nick wrote that in his column, right?
that it's a time-honored tradition?
No. He like talked about like the FCS games and like the early season like quote unquote cupcake games.
No such thing.
Anyway.
No such thing, my friend. So, did you get anybody reaching out to you with a text message, a tweet, something at 11-0 or at even 3-0 that was like, what's going on here?
I don't think, not necessarily. I think everyone's mentality at that point was just, like they're starting slow. I don't think anyone thought it was going to be like this bad the entire game. I think it was more of like we have a true freshman quarterback. Like the offense is, they were firing well last week, but this is just one of those games with a true freshman quarterback that it was just they were gonna take some time to get adjusted.
Why?
I don't know. I just think that's just kind of how people were optimistically looking at it because of what they saw Jaron do the previous week.
So you're saying essentially if we don't have that data point against Oregon State, there would be more people freaking out. But because we saw it work so well in week one, there was more tolerance for the offense sort of looking underwhelming.
Yeah, I think it would be different if we flipped it, right? Like let's say we beat Texas Southern the way we beat Oregon State in week one, and then we were playing Oregon State in week two, and that's how we looked. Then I think it's more reason for concern, or people would be more concerned in general, because you're playing a tier up opponent, right? And then you're starting to slow down. So I think it's just a matter of how you're going to look at it. But I didn't get those messages because everyone was still coming off the high of Oregon State, so they were still willing to give that much slack, to the team with their performance.
Do you get the sense that did you walk away from that and say that the offense held back from a play calling scheme standpoint?
Yes. I think, because remember, like Oregon State, right? Like you were there, we were watching it together. Like we came out guns blazing. Like we were throwing downfield like left and right. And then in this one, I don't want to necessarily say turtled, but the game plan definitely looked like they were just going for the dink and ducks and just hoping or expecting that our athleticism and speed wouldn't be able to get caught by Texas Southern's defense, which realistically it kind of did in the long term, but it didn't turn into the breakout plays that we kind of expected. It felt more of like a death by 1,000 cuts looking back at the game and how it unfolded.
It did look like there was real intentionality behind wearing the defense down and then just smashing them in the third and fourth quarter. And that definitely ended up happening. But I do believe there's quite a bit of concern at the onset in just regards to, I think it was not so much for me, the offense course left a little bit to be desired, but I think for me it was the containment of the quarterback that was, and giving up sort of some big third down conversions, and that was the piece for me where you started to see them in Cal territory for a couple of possessions. With the game still, like I always talk about, like you got to take the belief from your opponent, and the time-honored tradition is that the Cal teams of years past never really take that belief. And with Idaho and with Davis and some of these other teams, like we've seen them hold that belief like way longer than we would prefer. Like they actually believe that they're going to pull this off. So I think that was the big one for me. It's just sort of like they keep their belief because like there's nothing that's more demoralizing than just feeling like you can't convert any first downs. And so while we've played like close games in the past, there have been those defensive performances where we haven't really allowed a ton of first downs. And you're like, yeah, okay, it was a little underwhelmed by the offense, but the defense looked so unstoppable that I never really truly felt uncomfortable. Whereas this one, maybe not so much from a passing attack, but certainly from like the pocket presence and ability to scramble, legitimately, like I was like, oh, wow. Like, not like competent,
Yeah, I mean, let me ask you this. Like, do you think that if you looked at this game and someone said, like, maybe they came out of this because of how well they played against Oregon State, did they come into this game maybe looking at it going, if we even just play 50% of how we played against Oregon State, we're going to smash them? And that's kind of what led to this type of lulling where, at least to start, where it was like, oh, like, they're definitely not as bad as we thought, or the delta between us and them is not as large as we like mentally prepared ourselves for.
Maybe. I don't know. Who's to say, right? Like, but
yeah,
I can't tell if that's like an adjustment. Like, I don't know. I think the thing that I'd be thinking about there is like, are we saying that there is an adjustment that they're making? Like, stuff.
Yeah, I think, we won't know the answer to this for a while. Like, I think if we play any other team in the middle of the season where they're like, in dire straits, like let's say they've only won one game or something like that, then, will we play down to their level when we play a team like that again, much like we did against Texas Southern? Then that'll tell you the kind of the mental, fortitude that this team has. But if they learn from this and they come out, and hit the ground running every single game the rest of the way, we're probably going to look back at the season and look back at that game and be like, that's probably where they learned that lesson.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if I'm the optimist, which I tend to live in that head quite a bit, I look at this and say we wanted to prove ourselves on the ground, and we wore them down over the course of the game, knowing that we were bigger and more physical, and the third and fourth quarter was a reflection of that. And we might have been able to find a true RB1, if you will. So, like, you would say probably a pretty great outcome from playing a FCS opponent, right? It's like we didn't have an RB1 before this game, and we came out of it feeling like, hey, yeah, like Kendrick Raphael might be our number one. So, like, good. Did you use that game to your advantage? That's like my like super optimistic take on what this game could be.
This game is weird because I think most people coming out of this game was just like, God, what a slog of a game. Like, I'm just glad that we won and we didn't lose. Because, the halftime score was 11-0. And you're kind of just like, oh, like, is it going to be close again? Like, are they going to score and make it like 7-11 and we're just going to have to like fret a little bit that we're going to lose to a game that we basically purchased to win. But then the game ended, and then I went back and I'm like looking through the stats and like looking through like just like the overall of the game. And it's like, yeah, we started out slow, but like the statistics kind of show that we kind of dominated. Like, Andy, you were talking about like third down conversions, right? Like, they were only 3 of 14. It felt like they were like converting a lot more, but they only converted 3, and we were 6 of 12. We were 50% on third down conversions. Like, like time of possession too was like that was where we killed them, and the I think the killer happened in the fourth quarter because we had the ball 10 minutes and 23 seconds of the fourth quarter, and they only had it for 4 minutes and 37 because we just ran the ball, and we ran with such great efficiency because Kendrick would just run up the middle, and he'd have a running lane, and he would take it for 5-6 yards on every carry. Like, his stat line was 17 carries for 122 yards and a touchdown with a long of 32, but his average per carry was 7.2. Like, that's boring, but it's going to win you a lot of games.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
And so maybe this is the adjustment we kind of have to make, where it's like, are we upset as long as they win? Like, do they have to win in like passing the eye test type of fashion, or are we going to be okay with the rest of the season like this? Like, let's say we get to 8-4, and all the games that we won kind of are like this, where we look back as we're going through the game, we're like, oh god, this sucks. But then we look back at the end of it, and we're like, we won by like 24 points.
That would be a weird year. Let me tell you.
It'd be a very weird year.
Yeah. I think having glanced over the Right for California predictions, I think it depends upon what your expectations were going into that game, right? Like, you would not say that the score, did we end up at 35-3?
Yeah. Because
so
we scored that Devin Brown touchdown at the end. That pass through Dixon Veal put us to 35.
Yeah, so, all right. 35-3. You look at that from a score standpoint, you're like, okay, that's a pretty dominant score. You only gave up 3 points. But because I think that the expectations were set so high in some of those predictions, I think you have to look at, okay, did that disappoint the majority of people that were, pretty plugged in on the Cal program? I think the answer is yes. A lot of people put like drop 60, drop 50. And we got to remember, like, drop 40 is fine. Drop 40 in the Wilcox era, I think to your point, Rob, it's like drop 40 in the Wilcox era is probably getting you 8-4.
Well, I mean, the Vegas spread for this game was also Cal by, I think, 44.5 or 45.5.
So, yes, we disappointed our friends in Vegas, which we do a lot. And so, yeah, I think largely I'd step away from it and say, the feeling in the text thread that I'm in was certainly a little bit negative of like, I think one person actually said that all of their positive feelings about Cal football for this season had gone away. I think that was before we had scored. But, I think that a little bit of that existed. And then in the second half, it was sort of like, yeah, you take care of business. And I agree with you. Like, how much should you possibly read into it? Again, I think I'm glad you had the stats ready. I think looking at it overall, it looks and reads a lot better than maybe it felt in the moment. And I'm not saying, again, you go full hype mode, but like as we said, this game sort of meant nothing. And if it's going to be a nothing burger for us, then it might as well be us establishing the run game and establishing an RB1 in a pecking order. And as you said, not like those like big broken plays that we have in the years past where a running back has like 160 yards, but it's 2 runs that were for 70 yards each, and then it's a bunch of runs for like 2 and 3 yards, which showed the ineffectiveness of our offensive line. Like, this was the chunk gains as 6-7 of wearing down a defensive line and a defensive front and using a bigger, more physical offensive line to get that over time. And like, that's the stuff that at the end of the game against like a Boston College or against a Duke, like that's what you want to have practice for. Like, I think that's where that will actually matter the most.
I mean, let's be clear. This is the second game in a row where the run game closed out the game for us with us having a 3-possession lead. That's kind of what we've been asking for however many years under Wilcox, right? And, Andy, one of your biggest issues with like Wilcox and his time here has been like the turtling in the second half. But like the turtling has happened because he has this, I guess, football identity that he wants to establish, which is you get a lead and you run out the clock and you just close out the game. We were just inefficient and unable to close out the game via running the last few years. Whereas the last 2 games have now shown we have the ability to do that. And that might be where the adjustment might need to be made. And that's kind of the conversation that I was alluding to earlier of like, maybe we overreacted because of how the game went. And Andy, to your point, because of the expectations of what we thought was going to happen this game, which was also based on the results of how we played against Oregon State.
Yeah. I don't know so much if it's like an overreaction as much as it is just a normal human emotion, right? It's sort of like when you have high expectations. Again, expectations are a bitch. I'm earning our explicit rating.
Keep changing.
Right? It's just one of those things. If you had 0 expectations, you'd probably look at this game and say, yep, well, I still had pretty low expectations and I was delighted. And then if you had high expectations, like they're going to drop 60, you're probably disappointed. But I really do think we had a pretty optimal outcome here. And now it's about focusing and locking in on Minnesota. And this is the one. Like, this is the one that I'll be there. And I know you'll be there, Rob. And it's going to be, big Saturday night game. We will watch the tape afterwards, and I think we're going to have a much better idea. Because, look, let's be honest. If Cal goes 2-1, 7-5 is looking pretty solid, right? Like, you know what I mean? It's not going to change the outcome of optimism very drastically for me. I think it's like, yeah, okay, fine, we lost. If we get smacked, then maybe it's like a little bit more negative than that. But like, if we lose 2-1, I'm like, okay, yeah, 7-5 looks pretty good. Even I would say the optimist could take 8-4, and I wouldn't argue with you. If we win, and then you're looking at San Diego State and then Boston College, and then again, if the schedule just continues to look easier and easier and easier, I will let y'all dream. I would be glad for everyone to dream a little bit, because then now you're talking about Oregon State, which is like, we're trying to figure out, not quite Power 4, right? Talent level. Then you go down to FCS level. And then if you pull up a win against a Big Ten team, that looks pretty solid so far. Yeah. I mean, I think you're talking about like, all right, moving that needle from 30% on the 9 to maybe 45 or something like that, where, yeah, your expectations go up again.
Look, like the thing we said before the season started, right, Andy, is you and I both said we won't know what this team really is probably up until the Minnesota game, right? That's kind of what I think most people echoed before the season started. It just sucks because of the way that this game went and of the way that which Oregon State went. But we all agreed that those 2 games were not going to tell us what the floor of this team was or what the ceiling of this team was. So, like, we came out of it with 2 wins with, like, just different styles of play and execution. Now, what we see in terms of the execution come Saturday night probably gives you a better understanding of what the floor, at the very least, of this team looks like playing against Power 4 competition. And that kind of will set the tone for the rest of the season. So, like, I guess that's the coping mechanism I'd say I would give to our listeners. And, if you're feeling down on the Cal team after seeing that loss, it's like, I wouldn't take much stock into how the team played against Texas Southern to determine what it's going to look like for the rest of the year. Because we said, everyone agreed before the start of the year, like, Minnesota and probably Duke are the 2 games early on in the year that's going to probably set the reasonable expectation for what this team could be. Yeah,
those are the tone setters. I have one more for you, Rob, before maybe we transition on.
Sure.
I think the big question I have for you is, there was seemingly a point in this game where I think we were at, I can't remember what the score was, but call it like mid-20s to 3 or mid-20s to 0, actually. No, 3. And we kept Jaren in and a lot of the starters in. And I didn't really understand that. I want to get your take on it, because I just sort of felt like yeah, it was like this game's out of hand, and it's not like we have a sophomore behind. It's like you have this experienced quarterback, so get him in the game. I just don't. What is that?
Well, I think that the flip side argument I would give to your opinion would be you're trying to get your true freshman quarterback as many snaps of live football as you possibly can. And I know people are going to bring up like he could potentially get injured, which is not wrong, except I'm looking at the PFF stats right now, and the PFF stats grade our pass blocking unit against Texas Southern at an 85.3. And in regards to the entire country, that puts us right around 15. So, like, they weren't getting pressure on Jaron. Like, he had pretty good pockets and clean, and they were running, a lot of option plays and little quick passes. So, if the thing was, if it's like it comes all together, right? Like, Andy, you were talking about if we were trying to use this game to establish the run, right? I think we used our menu of run plays, I think, properly in this game. And you're probably just giving Jaron as many snaps so that he could run those plays properly. And particularly if they're RPOs or if they're even just option runs, like for him to get the live snaps to be able to make the right reads on the right players. And then on top of that, not just that, but also you're giving him more film to eval that they can look back at, and he has tape to look on.
Okay, I'm sold. You sold me. I think your worst case scenario is that an injury happens and everybody is like, "What the hell?" There was no reason for that person to be in the game. But I think in general, you made a good case. Okay, I have one additional thing that I forgot, and this is my last one. I was trying to think of a name for it,
okay,
and I was like, hype or nipe.
That's not one of your finest moments.
All right, here's my take.
We'll workshop it. I think we can figure out a better one than that.
Here's my take. Jacob DeJesus is the best returner at Cal since
Are you asking
Deshaun Jackson. True or false?
Since Deshaun? Okay, we got.
Did Keenan ever return for us?
He did.
Oof.
But he wasn't as electric, that's for sure. It was more of a just get the ball in the playmaker's hands.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Okay, so last year was Knoll, and we had this conversation about Knoll being pretty solid.
He was.
Who was before Knoll?
I feel like in my head, I have like Trevor Davis.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Keenan.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Melky Stovall.
That he was electric. D-Rob.
He was. Demetrius.
Yeah. Did Chad Hansen ever return punts for us or field kickoffs?
I only remember him as the future Patriots wide receiver, so I think he did potentially actually return punts, but not kickoffs.
Yeah. I mean, are we talking about just pure ability to like try to house one, or just like the little butt off your seat type of guy? Because if it's butt off your seat type of guy, it's there probably hasn't been one since Deshaun. But in terms of getting his field position and stuff, there are a few in between in there.
I think it's the fact that what I've seen from him. Remember the Tennessee game when Deshaun does the
video game move,
the jump back move type deal. Like I've seen DeJesus do that twice now. I'm like, damn, he has that. He has it.
Yeah,
he has the look.
Well, he's trying to house it every single time. There was that super long one where he like went all the way to the right side and then brought it all the way back to the left. And he had a running lane. I have a picture of it too, where he has a running lane. He's running down and he just gets pushed out of bounds like by literally like a half a foot. So I still think he's going to house one sometime this year. I don't know whether it's going to be a kickoff return or a punt return. I thought it would be against Texas Southern, but once again, if you're scoring touchdowns, then the likelihood of them kicking off to you is very low. So kickoff returns are going to be at a low point. But he fielded what, I think four punts today or on Saturday. So yeah, or 5 punts. He fielded 5 punts with a return of 44 yards, so about a 8.8 average on punts. Not
Incredible.
Bad. Not bad.
Not bad.
But yeah, I mean, I guess one question for you, Andy, before we move on here. Were you surprised to see trick plays this early on?
No. Are you talking about 2-point conversion?
Well, the 2-point conversion and the fourth down, the fake punt.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I kind of liked it just from the perspective of, like, I think you had the matchup, so take it, right? It's like they shifted the guys out and Texas Southern looked lost, so take it, right? I don't know if it made sense in the time, but it was at least nice to see, like, yeah, we have 8, you have 7. We're going to take that. So there's certainly some people I know in the chat that were like, why did we use it against Texas Southern? It's like, meh. You know, I think there's iterations and variations, and we've seen the same play work twice in the NFL, let alone in college, against different teams. You know, sometimes breakdowns happen. So I guess maybe I'm kind of just stoked that we have trick plays to begin with. I loved the fake punt. That was crazy.
I knew about that fake punt play. I didn't know that they were going to run it today, but that's actually a fake punt play. That's actually a fake punt play that I saw last fall.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's been in the playbook, I guess the big quote unquote master playbook for a while. I mean, once again, much like Northwestern, a bunch of years back with Pat Fitzgerald, we're fans of the team too, so we're going to make sure we don't give away any of the big things. But yeah, that exact play I saw happen at fall camp last year.
I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
Why not?
So we're going to wrap. Minnesota's on deck. Expect to see everybody there. Tailgate Town, Oski Town, Oski's Village, whatever it's called. We'll be there.
Oski Village.
Oski's Village. Excited. 7:30 Saturday.
Yep.
Remember, television on. Television on, even though you're at the game.
Yep. It's going to be an interesting one. They have a really good defensive back named Coy Parrish, who people were saying he's the next Travis Hunter because he kind of plays both ways a little bit. I know Minnesota.
Rob, are you there?
Yes. Sorry, I was on mute.
I think you muted yourself.
I muted myself. Yeah, I did what you did. Sorry, but let me just. I'll say it's very succinct. Jaron might be facing probably his toughest DB matchup in Coy Parrish this week. So we'll see how he does against that. Because if he does well against that and is able to look off Coy and be able to manipulate him a little bit, I think he's set up well for the rest of the year. And so he's a very talented guy. He plays both ways. Wore like a white and maroon jersey during fall camp just to show that he was playing on offense and defense for Minnesota. We'll see how much he plays on offense, but he's definitely a very, very good safety. So we shall see what it looks like on Saturday night.
Love it.
All right. Anything else to add, Andy?
That's it. See you Saturday.
That's it. See you Saturday, folks. As always, you know where to listen to us because you're already listening to us. If you want our written stuff, you can follow it along at writeforcalifornia.com. I think tomorrow, this is Tuesday, Wednesday, my photo book from Texas Southern will be up there. So if you want to take a look at the pictures I took from the Texas Southern game, hop in there. There's some good stuff. We have a bunch of statistical analysis stuff going up this week too. The advanced analytics team at Right for Cal this season is absolutely amazing. They do incredible work. So if you have a chance to go read that stuff, it helps you learn more about this.
Go Bears.